What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back again today with another live stream. Merry Christmas Eve to everybody. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad, however you celebrate it with you and yours and your family. I appreciate y'all for joining us. As you see, we got some special guests today. But first, Mr. Reid, how you feeling today, sir?
Hey, I'm in the Christmas mode. Happy.
Happy.
Off
That's what's
day.
up, man.
Off day. And don't have to go to New York.
Happy Christmas.
That's what's up, man.
Happy
So,
Christmas.
as you guys can see, I got some little guests today. What are your names?
Madison.
Oh, one at a time.
Madison. Mackenzie.
Madison and Mackenzie. These are my two nieces. And I've been telling them forever, we're going to make a TikTok. We're going to do video and all of that. And I haven't done anything with them yet. So I was like, today is a perfect day. I'm over here with family. We're celebrating Christmas Eve and get ready to celebrate Christmas. So, it was in a little festive mood, So this is what we're doing today. But I appreciate you ladies for joining us. Thank you. But we finna get in and talk some sports. So I will see y'all two later. All right?
All right.
Well, y'all like y'all want to go. Y'all want to stay
They say that's too soon, man. They want to ask you
right?
why. They want to ask you, hey.
All right. We're going to talk some sports. So I'll see y'all later.
Why in the world does Brandon got on an OKC hat?
See, that's why I want to do it right now. They want to take over the show.
They want to know why Brandon got a OKC shirt hat on.
Oh, the OKC. See,
yeah.
I gotta tell you the origins of this OKC hat, man. I gotta tell you.
I want to know. I want to hear.
All right. So the origin of the OKC hat. This is the origin of the OKC hat. So I was watching college basketball one day. I was watching Texas basketball. Let's watch this tall, skinny kid drop 35 on somebody. I can't remember who they were playing. And I was watching him drop 35. And I'm like, man, who is this tall, skinny kid? And they said, oh, he's a freshman, Kevin Durant. I said, man. So I followed Kevin ever since then. And Kevin, first he went to Seattle. Of course, they were Seattle Supersonics. Then he went to OKC. Then they got Westbrook, who I watched in college. Then they got Harden. Then Ibaka. I mean, they got so many players that I watched in college. I was like, man, I got to get an OKC hat because I used to watch them all the time. But once he left, then Ibaka was gone. Westbrook. Once everybody was gone, it's kind of like. But I still do follow them on social media, though. They're still one of my teams that I kind of follow.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. When the Hornets left to go to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma City hosted a regional, NCAA regional in OKC. And Texas was in that. And out of my whole career, because he had about 37 points in that game. I've never asked anybody for an autograph. And I actually asked Kevin Durant for an autograph when he was still at Texas.
Oh, he was at Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a year before he declared the leave.
Yeah, dude.
But he was like a real personable kid, real kind of shy-like, but just seemed like he was just a down-home guy. I said, man, I know you're going to be a star, so let me go and get that autograph now.
Yeah.
And he said, no problem.
Right. All right, so that's the origins of the OKC hat, man. I used to watch Durant and Westbrook and all the guys back when they were in college. And once they got on the same team, I was like, I got to get a part of this, man. I got to get a piece of this. And I still watch them now. They got the kid, was it Shah? I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, but he hit a game winner the other night. I like that kid, too. He's pretty good.
Or something. He got two names.
Yeah. He's pretty good, man. I like him. I like that kid. But and y'all see what it is today. Oh, man, I forgot about the comments. Let's see. Who on? Let's see. Oh, this somebody from Twitch. See, Mighty John too. Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate you for watching. We're gonna talk some sports today, my brother. So let's see.
On a Christmas Eve edition.
Christmas Eve.
I've been eating so much, boy. I don't even know if I can make it through the show, man.
You got the itis already?
Man, my wife got cakes and cookies and too much food. Got something going on in the oven, smelling good. No practice tomorrow. no trip to New York.
Yeah.
That's my Christmas, man. That the new whatever it is, I can't even pronounce the name of it, Omicron or whatever name of the new thing.
Omicron. And that's our first topic. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it's like messing up a whole lot of things, man. But it's too risky to be flying out to places. So we
Yeah.
we were told to cancel those flights. So we're gonna watch it off of TV and cover it, man. You know, actually Delta has canceled like about 153 flights today because they don't have enough workers who they got a lot of steward. I mean, a lot of people in their company has come down with the COVID. So they
Yeah, I saw that
and everything. So
yeah, that's why I picked this topic for our first topic, talking about the new variant and just COVID, the pandemic period, and how it's affecting sports.
Yeah.
And it's really hitting teams hard now, dude. They had ESPN. They was talking. It was so funny. I can't remember who the player was, but the guy, he hit a nice shot, and it's somebody nobody ever heard of. And they say that's what the C19 has done. Now you got players playing that you never heard of, man. You got whole position groups taken out. Like last year, the craziest one was the quarterback room in Denver, where all of them had close contact and they couldn't play, and they had the wide receiver play quarterback. I can't remember his name, but yeah. And we're almost getting back to that point, man, because now it seems like everybody's popping up with it, from coaches to officials, personnel, you name it, and it doesn't matter the sport. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody talking about it that get comfortable with your kids at home, because there's a chance that they might not be going back to school at least for the first couple of weeks of January.
Yeah, and you heard the news today on the Jags, right?
No.
Josh Allen, LaVisca, Ben Barch, all those guys went on the COVID list this morning. So Josh, I don't know what the I do not know if LaVisca's been vaccinated, and I don't believe Ben Barch has been vaccinated, because I just see.
I know Josh Allen ain't.
Yeah, but when you unvaccinated, you gotta sit out 10 games. So I mean, you gotta sit out 10 days. So 10 days means he'll miss this game tomorrow against the Jets, and he'll miss the game next week against the Patriots. So,
man,
that's talking about a franchise who on Tuesday didn't have anybody. Then Travis Etienne went on, I believe, Wednesday. Even though he's not on the active roster, he's on IR. And then these guys come up with with a positive test. So I don't know, man.
What up, Kenneth? Kenneth say the boat is headed to New Orleans. So that's Blake Bortles. I know we call Blake the boat. So Blake Bortles headed to New Orleans. Oh man, the Big Easy. Hey, he has some issues with weight too, so he better stay away from Zion and them beignets, man.
Hey, man, he might actually stick with the Saints. Get some coaching, play within the system, get the ball out quick. That might be a good spot for him, other than Green. Like every time something happened to Green Bay, he always gets signed or re-signed to go back to Green Bay. But New Orleans might be a spot for him. He might be able to stick there as a backup.
Yeah, he's had cup of teas with the Packers. I think he's been on the Rams twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And now New Orleans. So I always knew that he could be a backup in this league. Of course, I knew that he'd be. He's 6'5" and he's white, so those are the prerequisites.
Yeah.
Seemingly for quarterbacks now, man. We always joke about that. It was like, man, there's some guys, man, they can't play, but they tall and they're white, so they automatically get the benefit of the doubt from time to time. Even white dudes talk about that. It was like, man, it just seemed that way. But with Blake, man, we'll see how it goes. But I know them coming back next year, Jameis is going to be the guy, man. Jameis has shown enough that I would build around Jameis going forward.
Well, let me add this to your comment. I said the first time I saw Blake Bortles, I said he was a backup.
Yeah.
Even though he was starting for the Jaguars, and he threw those 5 picks in a practice, I said, man, ain't no way in the world this guy's a starting quarterback. I mean, he's definitely a backup. So good for him, though. At least he's getting opportunities.
Yeah, at least he's getting an opportunity. So, man, it seems like from different tweets, every seemingly hour or so, you get another athlete, and this isn't just backup guys; these are key guys going into the COVID protocols. I mean, I
It's
see
out there,
where
man. Who else out there?
yeah,
I mean, Monday they had 51 players to go on the COVID list. Man, that was Monday.
that was Monday.
Just even with the Jaguar situation, man, we're not allowed to go in the stadium anymore for practices, and I'm sure that every other team in the league is coming up with more enhanced COVID protocols and those kind of things. But man, it's just amazing. I mean, I said on your show before, I'm all COVID out, man.
Yeah,
I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I done took the 2 shots, done took the booster shot, but it's just to me that this thing is not going away. Even though you won't see CNN saying anything, I'm convinced that virus is here to stay.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just so it just changes everything. I mean, it just like nobody have an answer. Only answers you're getting, well, if you do this, this might help. If you do this, this might help. And it's just like, man, it just won't go away. It impacts everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, I don't know. I get it tested every week, and it's just, I don't know, man. I'm just sick of the whole thing, to be honest. I'm sure I'm not the only one saying they're sick of it, but man, you can't, this was frustrating for a lot of people. You listen to Fauci or whatever his name is. You hear all what you're supposed to do. You hear all the things that you're supposed to do right, and then it's still impacting like families' Christmases. They're even advising some. I saw something this morning on CNN where they're just saying, like, if you have a gathering on Christmas tomorrow, and it's like more than 35 or 40. They don't advise you to do it. And it's like, man, come on, man. So you're going to tell me somebody been planning this for the last 6 weeks or something, or already got the ticket purchased. And you're going to say right now, 24 hours before Christmas, because this was this morning, that you got to change your plans. You go to these Walgreens and CVS's, and it's like you can't get a test. And I mean, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. I mean, that's all I can say. It's frustrating. It's like, man, when are we going to live a life where it just be normal again? It's almost seems to me like we done beyond that point, that it's never going to get back to where we know what it's like to have family gatherings, and you don't have to sit in a room and you like one of us. They are, like, if they have they been vaccinated or unvaccinated.
Oh,
You don't want to be asking people who come over to your crib, like, man, in order you to come over to the party, you got to be vaccinated. And it's just like, man, can we come up with something to get this thing handled right? Because 2 weeks ago, that new virus, a variant or whatever, it was in South Africa. And within a span of 10 days, it then went from not being in the country to being like the leading variant that's impacting people.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you look at 50, just think of it, 51 players in one day. This was Monday. 51 players tested positive for the virus in one day. That's just NFL. We,
you talking about,
let's just talk about, like, if you work at some place in Jacksonville, how many people in that company tested positive if they had the capability of taking the test? And it's like, man, I don't, and it's like NFL basically saying, and I think a lot of businesses is just going to be starting to say at this point, because you can't control it. It's not as bad as the Delta, but it's just like, man, if you don't show signs or symptoms, then you don't need to be tested.
I seen some of them, they were asymptomatic. Like a couple of the NBA players that said they were asymptomatic. Karl Anthony Towns just came down with it. He was pissed. He was like, man, I can't catch a break. He lost his mom and his dad to the virus. So But yeah, I did see that with Fauci, and then we're talking about it and asking family members whether they vaccinated and whether you are family members who are not vaccinated, not allowing them to come to family functions. And I'm like, are y'all serious right now? So let me get this straight. Your vaccine don't work unless I got the vaccine as well. I've never understood that. Like, how am I a threat to you?
I don't think they're telling us everything. I think what they should have told us was, yes, you take the vaccines. It's not guaranteed it's going to protect you from catching the virus, but you can almost guarantee that it won't put you in the hospital and it won't kill you. Basically, that's what it's doing. I have never in my life, I've been around this world for over 5 decades. I ain't going to talk about how old I am, but I have never in my lifetime ever heard that you take a vaccine and it don't protect you. Basically, I mean, I've never
heard it.
If you take a polio shot, you're not supposed to catch the polio.
Yeah.
And with this virus, man, it's like it's a couple of guys in the NFL. This is like their second go round. Some of them done caught it 3 times.
Yep.
And it's like, man, when are we gonna come to a point? And I said this before, Brandon. I think we gotta come as a country, man. And it ain't just United States, but it's got to be Russia, France, all the countries of power got to sit at a table and sit down with China to get the real answers of what's going on with this virus. That's where it started at, and they need to find out the answers. Because we can't continue to go on, like, okay, well, I heard somebody also this morning said that there's a likelihood that there's going to be another booster that they're going to have to be a 4th shot, maybe by March or April of next year. And it's just like, come on, man, something ain't adding up,
Something's not right.
It ain't
I said it from the beginning.
It ain't adding up. Somebody don't know the answers or something, or somebody creating variants or something, but something ain't going right, man. And it's like, we like the guinea pigs, it's like, okay, you tell us like, okay, you get the booster, you ain't got to worry about it. Now we got the booster. Oh, you might have to get a second booster just for this variant. I mean, it's like, come on, man. I've never in my life ever heard of something all the way around the world in South. That's what they said. It started in South Africa. And in 10 days, it went from South Africa through Europe, across the ocean into the United States. And now it's the number one leading variant that more people catching that variant right now than any other. And it's like, come on, man, 10 days ago, we didn't even know about this.
Dude, hey, people can go back. You go back and fact check it yourself. But I'm just saying, from what I've heard, is that especially in Africa is one of the least populated places, but they have the least amount of cases and the least amount of deaths, but they're the least vaccinated. So I didn't understand that anyway. I mean, you had the Nets, who pretty much the whole team was on in the health protocol.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad now that, which is why I got my guy in the title, is Kyrie Irving. Now everybody's hating on Kyrie. Everybody's like, oh, he won this and he won that. No, it's just circumstance. Circumstance is we don't have enough guys to play. They need Kyrie. They do need him. Even as a part-time player, they do need him. And so he'll be back. And it just so happened, as soon as Kyrie came back, he went straight to the health protocols because he had COVID. I'm like, Kyrie didn't have COVID this whole time. He goes back to the Nets facility. He catches COVID. Isn't that something?
Man, this is the atmosphere. I ain't Fauci. I ain't a doctor. But come on, man. How can you explain this amount of people catching this virus? It's in the atmosphere. That's what it looked like. It's in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is.
You can't. I heard a guy also say it's not good to wear cloth masks. Anything with cloth masks, it won't work against it. I say, come on, man. What are we into? We're gonna be walking around in a bubble in 3 months. I mean, it's almost to the point that I always respect what doctors. I always respected in my whole life what scientists says, and I'm almost to the point. The first time in my life, I don't think they have a clue. I don't think they know nothing about this situation that's going on. You
Yeah.
hear a doctor on MSNBC, and you hear one on CNN, and they completely saying two different things.
Yeah.
You look at man, and I knew something was crazy last week. Almost 2 weeks ago, because the numbers of the NFL, NFL players have to. If you vaccinate, you have to take the test weekly. If you're unvaccinated, you have to take it every day. But like 2 weeks ago, you could start seeing more. I mean, I think the Rams had like 6 players in one day test positive.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And it just went around the league. And I said, yep. I said to myself then, man, that thing done came over here.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it done
Yeah.
came over here. Jalen Ramsey caught the virus. I mean, it's just like the last 2 weeks, the last two games. And I looked at the numbers. It's like 25 players from Cleveland had the virus that Tuesday night that they played, and the number went up the next day. Who else there? It's like the Detroit Lions had like 14 players.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw
And,
that.
and when you testing every day, I mean, I'm not testing every day, but when you testing weekly, you know, those numbers increasing, man. And it's like, boy,
T Small, what's going on? He say must be the money. Oh yeah, yeah, it must be money. He said, I wonder what the new COVID-19 variant coming out next year. Yeah, they already got it named.
yeah,
They already got it named. They already know. They already named the variants and what's coming out. This is people say pandemic. Other people say plandemic. They feel like this stuff was planned, man. This is what it's feeling like. So now, sports organization across the globe, I mean, regardless of where they are, whether in the U.S. or not, you're going to have to come up with a plan now. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do. The NFL, they just went back to the old way. They went back to the first protocols that they put in. NBA, they've modified their protocols as well. I know the MLB is going to do the same thing. But I know one thing, if they continue to push, like say with the Nets and them playing in New York and playing in a place where the vaccine is required and you have to have it, the players are going to want answers from their organizations. They're going to want it from the organizations and from the league, because now it's like, well, what's the plan? What are we doing going forward? Are we going to stay this way? What is it going to be? Because at a certain point, I mean, you're not going to get any sports played if you continue this way. At a certain point, like you said, it's going to have to be like, it's here and we got to deal with it.
And most people might disagree, but I agree with this, man. If you've been, let's just say this, if you've been vaccinated 2 times minimum, and if you got the booster, that's even extra. But if you're not displaying symptoms, if you don't feel sick, I don't think they should be tested, to be honest. I mean, it's like, come on, man, because if you're gonna catch it 9 times out of 10, I think it's in the room. I don't think it's just like somebody has it and it's that person that's transferring the virus. I think the virus is in the room,
Yeah.
And I think you could be in a room and you got 5 people in that room that has that virus, and you got one in the room that doesn't have it. I don't think they're catching it from the 5 that's in the room that has it, and particularly if they're vaccinated. If that one person in the room is vaccinated, I just think you're rolling dice. I mean, I just think I think it's just to a point like, well, he caught it. I mean, and what the heck you can do about it, But just testing and just, okay, you got to be out 10 days and all this. I just don't. I mean, if he go home to his family, and this is the whole point of the whole thing, man. If you test the player, let's say Josh Allen is an example. Josh Allen from the Jags. Okay. He has not been tested, so he's unvaccinated. So he's going home for 10 days. I mean, there's nowhere else he can go but home.
Right.
So the Jaguars don't have no regulation what happens in his own house. So Jaguars can't tell his wife or his kids that they got to be vaccinated. So,
Right.
so he's in the house for 10 days, and what is he gonna do? You think Josh Allen gonna stay in a room for 10 days and don't see his family? So it's
No.
almost to a point, man. You just gotta let it. Just let the
Let
chips
it.
go by. If they're not feeling sick or they're not showing signs, let it go on. And I even suggest this at this point for businesses. I mean, you can't if you just test, and everybody come up positive. We're gonna be right back in the same situation we was like 2 years ago, where everything gonna get shut down.
Yep.
You know, you're gonna be isolated in your house, and it's like, I mean, come on, man. And we
Yeah.
still got the virus. Once you recover, the virus still out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm to the
Remember.
point now. If you decide to get vaccinated, you've done your job. There's no more. There's no more you can do.
No more you can do. Yeah.
You know.
Remember, early on it said 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Man, that seemed like a long time ago now, don't it?
Yeah.
When they said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and like T Small say, a lot of these cases are asymptomatic. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of from what I hear about especially athletes that catch it, they're not. There's no symptoms. They say COVID playing hide and go seek.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm from the old school. Hey, if I don't feel sick in my mind, I'm not sick. I mean,
Yeah.
it ain't got me in the bed sick and I feel miserable, and I feel like today I feel good. I'm gonna go. If I was going to school, I'm going to school. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong inside of me, but I don't
Yeah.
feel no illness, so I'm gonna go through my duties. You
Yeah.
know,
I'm
there
going to
are
work.
people that go to school and go to work who has colds, and you can catch the cold, but they still go to work.
Yeah.
Now, if they have the flu, that's a little different. But if you got a cold, the cold don't keep you home. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
And see
some
what they.
people have jobs, man, where hey, man, you can't miss a day. You can't afford to miss. Everybody don't have NFL jobs. Some people,
Yeah.
hey, if you miss the day at work, you don't get paid for it. Everybody don't
Yeah.
have that contract on their job where you miss a day, you get paid 8 hours. They don't have that opportunity.
Yeah. And
You
you
know,
see where they found out slowly but surely that you can't mandate the vaccine. You
no,
can't say you got to have this and you can't do this unless you have this, especially when it comes to now, if it's like events, certain places or whatever. Okay, that's what no this, no service, that we've always had that. But that whole, in order for you to do your job or your career, you got to have it. A lot of people are like, okay, cool, I'm out. And even in New York, they had to have the Coast Guard come in to help staff hospitals when now, especially now, they have to have them come in and help staff the hospitals, because now you have where people are not adhering to it. Like I think it's the New York Police Department, NYPD. The sheriff say he's not. The commissioner said, I'm not doing it. I'm not mandating the vaccine. They don't have to get it. No, I'm not doing that. And a lot of places have done that. Matter of fact, Biden got blocked because he tried to do it for healthcare workers nationwide. They pretty much put a hold on it. But it means it's not going to go through, because all you're going to do is cut down your workforce, and you're probably going to cut it down 30-40% off top.
Yeah. I agree. And you go to these stores, you go to Winn-Dixie's, there's a lot of people ain't wearing masks.
Yeah. Now, dude, anywhere I go out now, it's rare now to see a masked person at my job or when I'm out in convenience stores, clothing store, whatever. Now, most of the people I see are without masks now, because people are kind of like, I'm over it.
Yeah, ain't no more. I mean, it is. It's fatigue, man. It's like, I mean, I've done everything. I done took 3 shots.
Yeah.
And you still telling me I'm at risk. I say, what more can I do, man? I can't do anymore, man. I'm tired of it. If it's going to get me, it's going to get me. But if you guys guarantee that it ain't going to put me in the hospital, I'm not worried about it. And that's how I feel. I say, at this point, I can't do no more. I wear my mask. I do this and do that. But, man, if I come up with a positive test, hey, it's a 10-day vacation for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done what I can do. I mean, sometimes you just got to put up the white flag and say, "Man, I surrender." But man, I cannot go through all this no more. I'm gonna live life to the fullest, and whatever happens to do that, that's just gonna happen. But man, that's just it's COVID fatigue, man. I mean, it's not going away. It's gonna be here. But man, we be talking COVID probably for the next 10 years.
Yeah. See, T Small said right now it feels like the common cold, and it does. It does. It feels like, to me, it's not the flu, but it's similar to the flu. And when they started the vaccine, I was like, well, this is not a one-time thing. I said it's going to have to be a yearly thing, just like the flu shot. I seen that from the beginning, and sure enough, they got the third booster. Now the fourth booster coming, and now I saw a like a little billboard where it says it had a battery, and it shows the batteries being drained over time. It had a full battery, then it had half, then 3/4, and then it had not 3/4, but 1/4 battery, and then it was empty. And it said, just like a battery, the vaccine is less effective over time. Get your booster shot now. I said, dog, that's where we're going. Is that where they want to set? That's where we're going.
Yeah, that's where I think it's going. I think it's going where we're gonna be taking booster shots for like every 6 months. There's gonna be another variant come out of nowhere. They're gonna say, well, we only got 61% that's been vaccinated, so the variant is coming away. I just think we need to go talk to China. I mean, I'm not racist. Call it the oddest name. I think China knows more about this virus than what people think,
and what they've let known.
And I think you gotta go with the root of the problem. The root of the problem is, where did it start from? Then you gotta go to that place where it started from. Talk to those scientists and get some type of You gotta put all the smartest minds in the world in this room and get this situation resolved, because it's going on. I mean, it'll be 3 years, man. 3 years.
Yeah.
And we dealing with the same issue. We going into a new year, and right now it's like we're at the highest point of people catching the virus. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And it's going to get worse over time, especially now that it's cold, the cold season, the cases surge, of course, and so we'll see. We're going to see more of it. So I mean, with sports anyway, I mean, I'm selfish. I'm selfish anyway, because I want to see my sports. I want them to play. I want to go out and play. Yeah, hey, if he doesn't have any symptoms, I don't care if he got it. Go catch a football and go dunk a ball or something, because that's what I want to see. But the one thing that the NBA and NFL can't do right now, especially the NBA, you gotta play these next couple of days. You got to get the contracts to these TV contracts. You got to deliver. You have to deliver this Christmas slate. You got to deliver. Yeah. You got to try to get as many people playing stars you can. Your teams and who's matched up has already been set months ago. But now you got to. You got to deliver, man, because it's about money at this point. There's no more. The NFL is not going to shut down. The NBA, I don't see them shutting down. They pondered it. They talked about it, but the cost, you can't do it. You can't do it. The cost is too great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's and another thing is, the guys are not being sick. A lot of them, especially these athletes. I mean, they have no symptoms other than getting a positive test. So it's just like they're not coughing, they're not with high fever temperatures or anything like that. They just got the virus. It's in their system.
Yeah.
And that's what the NFL probably mandating it more than the NBA. I didn't know this. The NBA said that they wasn't testing at all unless someone someone on the staff had come back with a positive test, then they would test everybody on staff. But if they didn't have anybody with a positive test, then or anybody that come up with signs or symptoms, then no one on that team was being tested. So they didn't really have calculations of numbers. Yeah. But the NFL from day one, I tested this because they test the media, that any vaccinated player, media representative, whatever it is, have to get tested once a week. And if you unvaccinated, you get tested every day. And I mean, to be honest, I have issues with that. But since it's a free test, I don't, it ain't worth barking over. But still, man, you shouldn't be forced to have to take anything to go cover a team, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, well. I mean, it's like you said, we got fatigue. I know I want to cover it a little bit because it's impacting sports, man. And when it started impacting my fantasy team, I was like, yeah, it's about to start getting ugly. I've seen guys. Hey, I was doing good. I'm doing good too. I'm in the semifinal right now, the game before the championship game, and I think is it Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks, who killed us, he's out. He's on the list now. And I lost Leonard Fournette, but he's hurt. He went to IR. So yeah, so now we're impacted. But yeah, I just wanted to shed a little light on that. And now we're gonna move on. Next topic. We're gonna talk about that team up north that's in Chocolate City that won't release those emails. Because they say former Washington football team employee possibly sheds light on why the NFL is covering up the results of the investigation. It says when it comes to the NFL stubborn and nonsensical refusal to document and disclose the findings made by the lawyer Beth Wilkinson during her 10-month investigation of the Washington football team, I believe the league is hiding something big. Oh, we talked about that, Mr. Reid. They hiding something. It's clear. It's clear. Yeah. It's a reason why they don't want the rest of those emails out. They said, who benefits from the clumsy effort to bury the evidence, concealing it under the illogical and disingenuous claim that the privacy and anonymity of some employees who provided information can be protected only by keeping all factual conclusions secret? Most obviously, Washington owner Daniel Snyder, less obviously the other 31 owners. Any, some, or all of them who could end up in a similar predicament in the future. And that's the part right there that I want to highlight, is that this doesn't just impact Washington football team. Let's stop sharing it there because that's about it. This is the part I want to focus on. So it's just not the Washington football team. This impacts the league because it's 650,000 emails, Mr. Reid. You know that it's other owners caught up and tied up in this. They don't want this to get out.
Yeah. I'll say this to me, this falls back to this commissioner. Roger Goodell is a guy who makes this league. This is $1 billion industry plus.
Yeah.
He's done his job in making money, and he's done his job in basically not allowing these owners to be exposed. And that's the problem I have with him, because I think if you go back in the history of the NFL, the Roselles and the Taglaboos and the guys like that, those guys stood for the shield.
Yeah, they did.
I can fault Taglaboo and Roselle that probably they should have done a better job with the concussion part of it and did more studies on the injury part of that. But Taglaboo and Roselle was not. They were commissioners. They didn't like worry about their job being at stake because they did something or made a decision and the owners didn't like it. Yeah. This guy right now, I think everything he does to appease the owners. He doesn't want to have any friction with the owners. And I think when you're the commissioner of a league like this, a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you got greedy, they're greedy. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, these owners are only in this for money. I mean, they ain't in it for anything else. They're in it for money.
That's it.
When you got egos as big as owners, these billionaires, and all what they've done to get to where they at right now, the Jerry Jones, you got to be strong-minded to be a commissioner, because those guys are. They're bullies.
Yeah.
And if you soft or you a guy who just buckle under, then they're never going to let you go. And that's what this guy is. He's just he's a lapdog to the owners. And everything he does with his job is always centered on their best interests. Not the best interests of the league, the best interests of the owners. Mm-hmm. And that's why you got to go back in history and respect a guy like Roselle, because the feud that he had with the Raiders and Al Davis, that would have never happened in this era here with this guy.
Yeah.
If a guy was breaking the rules of not conforming to what the rules are for the rest of the 32 owners, then you had a commissioner who spoke out about it and he did something. When have you ever seen Roger Goodell speak out anything about the owner? Because I agree with you. Whatever on those emails, it's involving probably about 13 of those owners, not one or two, about 13 of
it's
them,
multiple.
and they're being indicted, and then the league has always, like, they want to protect the shield. They don't want negative publicity, but hey, if there's a problem and something is being done wrong, and you had an investigation where you spent money to investigate that franchise and not going to be open and clear about the results of the investigation, then you should have never had it. You know,
Yeah.
If Snyder got that much power as an owner, then maybe he should be the commissioner. You know,
Yeah.
but I think I say this whole thing from the get go. And if you go back and look at Roger Goodell, the whole thing, even go back to concussions, it's like everything that his decision is based on the owners. He does everything the owners say. And that's not a commissioner. You got to take a stand, man. You got to take a stand for the betterment of the league, not the betterment of, you got ego rich owners,
Yeah. See, I
because
don't remember Roselle, but I do remember Tagliabue, and I do remember David Stern. Those guys were different, man. They were even Adam Silver. I give Adam Silver a little more. I would give him a better grade than I would give Roger Goodell. But David Stern and Paul Tagliabue were different, man.
And you got to be a commissioner like a David Stern and like a Tagliabue, where they're gonna make the commissioner gonna make some decisions that it's gonna be a majority of the owners don't like it, but for the integrity of the league, they're gonna abide. And that's what needs to be done with this. Whatever in those emails that impacts this league, then it never should be done again. Then those guys should be exposed, not hidden. No, don't hide the truth and tell the guys in a closed door, okay, we don't never want this to happen again. We want to fix it that way. Then he's not being a commissioner. That's almost like being a president and you got somebody on your own staff breaking the law, and you don't want to expose them just as long as nobody knows about it. And that's not the way you conduct the league, Right. So they need, to be honest, when the real truth comes out, then maybe they need to start looking for a new commissioner.
T Small say Coach Gruden is on a mission. Oh, you better believe it.
He should be. He shouldn't be the one fall guy in this whole situation. He shouldn't be the one guy that, okay, he lost his job when the investigation had nothing to do with him. He's in Las Vegas. This is a Washington situation. You're not gonna tell me 2 years ago they had all this stuff come out about how ladies were being treated in the department and just all the different things that were going on in there. So you're gonna tell me 2 years later, after you conducted an investigation, that you came away with nothing? Everything is good. I mean, come on. That's not the way it works.
T Small said, he said, I wonder how much Black Lives going to matter when those emails come out. Oh, that's another one, T Smalls. You got in racism on the helmets. You got Black Lives Matter in the end zone, on the courts, and on the stitching on the clothing and all of that. But what's in those emails? I'm sure that goes against all the empty gestures and empty signage that they put out. I'm sure it goes against all of that. I mean, they're going to look like hypocrites when this stuff come out. And not only is Snyder caught up in it, I imagine I would say, let's say half the owners in the league are caught up in this in some capacity. I guarantee you, Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones in those emails. And as long as those two in there, they ain't gonna see the light of day.
Well, even like Kraft, with all the situation he was in, and he was back business as usual, back owning the team, don't even get a hand wrist slap. It's just back.
I did a whole podcast on that, man. I talked about sex trafficking because when I seen the story and the girls, I did a lot of research on it, and I did a whole podcast on it and talked about that. And dude, it seemed like nothing really followed up with it. It was business as usual after that. I mean, of course, we do know that men of means, men who have money like that, men of status in a certain class, we know what the dealings is. We know what they do. They go to certain parlors where they get massages and certain happy endings and things like that happen. We know that. But the way that was swept under the rug, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever seen it, and that was an FBI sting. And this guy get it's like he doesn't even get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
You know,
And
he's still
part of it too is, I think too, is that so many other people were involved because I think it was Jupiter, Florida, and the
yeah.
area in Jupiter, Florida where he was at, it was pretty much an area where stars are at. It's not a very populated area, and they say when a lot of, I guess, celebrities are in Florida or whatever, they go to that area in Jupiter, Florida, and so that's where they were. But we know it's going to be some stuff in those emails, man. That's why those emails aren't coming out. But John Gruden is going to fight to the death. They're going to have to pay him to go away. They're going to have to. You're going to have to break him off something proper too.
Yeah,
He ain't going for pennies, man, because it's going to be, he can't work nowhere else. Where else can he work? So you got to fund his lifestyle for the rest of his life. That's what I would be going for.
Well, they got enough lawyers. They'll come up with a settlement so it won't go to court, so they won't be disclosed. But this league got to change, man. It just I don't know. It's just so much showtime and not enough substance. You know, just like you said, you know, you got these statements on the field, in racism, do this and do that, and then it's just like, man, that's just like empty words, man. This league don't do anything to stop that kind of stuff, man. No. I haven't seen Roger Goodell say anything about, you know, since the George Floyd stuff was going down, he's been silent on racial issues and things like that over the last 6-7 months of the season. So yeah, the league got to do better, man. It could be a voice, and it chooses not to be a voice. You know, it could change a lot of things in society if it just express things more, have the means to make a difference, and don't make a difference. And you know, things got to change. I mean, you look at the amount of money that the people spend in this country on going to these games and watching the games on television and all that. Even when those games come on television, normal people makes an impact because they're making money off the advertisement dollars and everything. So when you get the ratings and they got like these high viewage ratings and everything, then that's how they can scale the price for the advertisement. And it's just like, man, they got to do more. It's just, you know, we're not in a society where we just so enamored that, you know, we don't see anything else but touchdowns and big catches. You know, you got to, society is a little different now, and they got to have a bigger role in making an impact than just, you know, just falling behind the umbrella. Oh, we play the game, you know, but yeah, you got a whole lot of power. You got a whole lot of money, and you got a bigger platform than any other professional sports league team in this country. And you got to stand for something a lot more than what you're standing for right now, which is just making money.
Yep. That's it. That's it, man. That is it, man. So, speaking of hypocrites, and people who are just, and this is an individual, I don't know him personally, but I don't like this man. I don't, because I don't like some of the things that he said. When Colin Kaepernick, when his situation first kicked off, he went against Colin Kaepernick, and anytime I hear people use Martin Luther King to condemn somebody, and he used Martin Luther King to condemn Kaepernick, it was an issue. But man, I'm talking about is Dabo Swinney. I've seen his name come up in our head coaching vacancy, and no, Shad Khan, if you ever see this video, Shad Khan, do not hire Dabo Swinney. Number one, don't hire another college coach. You need somebody with experience. That's first and foremost. But just off Dabo alone, Dabo is one of the highest paid coaches in all of college football. He's made money off the backs of players for a very long time, mostly black, for a very long time. And you can say it about all the coaches. But this guy right here, he said that once players start getting paid, he said that I will no longer coach, because he didn't think it was a good idea for players to get paid. Yet he's getting paid. So this is what he said about the transfer portal a couple things like 2 weeks ago. And so it says Dabo Swinney is not a fan of some of the new transfer rules. He said the advent of the portal, along with players now being allowed to transfer one time without penalty, has changed the entire landscape of college football. And the Clemson head coach is not overly impressed with the early results. This is quote now. He says, "It's crazy, really sad to be honest with you," Swinney said Wednesday at Clemson signing day ceremony. He said, "That's right around 2,000 kids in the portal, and most of them don't have anywhere to go. There's so much tampering going on and so many adults manipulating young people. It's sad, but it is what it is from that standpoint. You got a lot of young people that there's time and a place, but most of these kids are in there when they shouldn't be in there." And this is, he says, Swinney has long maintained that players deciding to up and leave at the first sign of adversity isn't what's in their best interest long term, that this new model will hurt graduation rates in the future. He says some of the lessons we're teaching young people, I don't think is going to benefit them as well as they move through their life. It is something everybody has to manage and deal with. There's no consequences. There's no rules. I'm all for transferring. I personally think we should let them go whenever they want. I just think that they should sit a year. When you get that year back upon graduation, what we done is de-incentivize and devalue education, and I think that's the wrong approach. Oh, come on with that. Like, I'm done reading this, man. He has nothing to say about coaches when coaches up and leave. Dude, just off this year alone, when you have coaches leave when teams are in a playoff hunt, I don't want to hear anything about players leaving. Why are you criticizing the players? He had nothing to say about Lincoln Riley. You know why? Because he wanted that deal Lincoln Riley got. He might have wanted it from Clemson, but he wanted that deal too. He didn't say anything about Brian Kelly going to LSU. I didn't hear anything about that. Did you hear anything about that? I didn't hear anything about that. He has said nothing about coaches leaving. Coaches leave all the time. Coaches leave in the middle of seasons. It happens all the time. Nobody says anything. You telling me that a coach who recruited a player for him, for his system, ups and leave, that player can't go anywhere? You don't want that player to leave? That player should be able to leave and go wherever he wants to go. Well, but here we are with this right here. And just Dabo he's so disingenuous sometimes to me, man.
Well, this is what I want him to say. I didn't hear him say this. He said that he's not going to use the transfer portal ever.
No.
Yeah, no. He didn't say that, did he?
No, he didn't.
No. And I don't see anything wrong with a young man if he's not being treated fair. We got to be in a real world, man, which is part of this show. We discuss real world situations.
Yeah.
In the real world, every player is not a superstar. Every player go to school, even if he was recruited and whatever. And some, things change over. It could change in a season. It could change in a month. It could change next. He could be a leading rusher as a sophomore, and the junior year he gets 25 carries for the whole season. So there's nothing wrong with an athlete who feels that he's not being used right. He don't feel like his future is right. It would be like, not even for an athlete, it would be a regular student. If a student feels like I'm too far from home, I need to get back home closer, then they have the right to transfer,
Yeah.
And the same should be said for an athlete. If a football player at a school, say if he went to Florida, and he was told or promised that you're going to start or you're going to get this amount of, you're going to be our workhorse back, and then it's game 8, and the guy ain't been off the bench in six games, he has the right to say, I don't feel I was told something different. I feel like I can go somewhere else. And it's his right. If he feels, he should be able to communicate with another school, or if he's in the portal, and say, in order to benefit himself to move to a better spot, he's got to talk. He got to find out the facts. He can't find out the facts if he's not communicating with the other program.
Yeah.
And I don't like guys like, I don't really have a problem with Dabo Swinney, but if he's a guy who's going to basically say, okay, you come to Clemson, you got no other options. You going to stay here when you sign your scholarship, no matter what. Everybody's not Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's not Travis Etienne. So you gonna stay here for 5 years at least, and you got no other option. And that's not the world we live in anymore, where you don't have options. So, if that get out, he'll have a hard time recruiting. And their program ain't what it used to be.
No,
but
it's not.
you got to give these guys, you got to give student athletes and students, you got to give them the option that if everything in society don't work, you can watch a school from the time you was in middle school through high school, sign with the school, and it ain't what you thought it was, and you should have the option to move on to something else. Because what is the point? The point is, you go to college, you spend time in college. Hopefully, when you leave college, it changes you into a better person, or make you know different things you need to know once you get in the real world. And if you go, you can't be in the real world. That's almost like saying if you got a job, you don't like it, but you can't in the real world go find another one, even if you're doing the same job, but you doing it at another company, that you don't have the right to do that. That's basically what Dabo is saying. You don't have the right to do that. And that's absolutely wrong.
Shoot, for example, like Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams didn't like his situation at Ohio State. He was sitting behind some really good receivers. They got Olave. They got a nice crew there right now. Jameson felt like he could be better elsewhere, and he was correct. So he left and went to Alabama. So when you're telling me when he was in the transfer portal, and I don't know if he had interest in Clemson or not, but let's say he did. Let's say he was interested. Bama and Clemson was the two teams he came down to. Dabo didn't meet with him and talk to him and encourage him to come to Clemson. I have a hard time believing that he didn't do that. I have a hard time believing. So you're benefiting from the portal, sir. You are. Because when kids leave, like, they're going to leave, and you'll have kids leave Clemson because they don't like the situation to go somewhere else. Cool. But you're also going to have kids like Jameson Williams who leave the Ohio States. You got Bama kids leave all the time. They transfer. One of the best players to come to Alabama left there. I don't think he had a carry at Alabama, was Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara didn't see the field because he had Derrick Henry, TJ Yeldon, Kenyon Drake. He had a bunch of guys in front of him. So he left. He found a better situation in Tennessee. And now he's one of the best backs in all of football, man. So, like the Jacksonville, for example, if the Jacksonville Jaguars were, say, Jacksonville University, if they were the Dolphins, and you covered Jacksonville University, and this was a college, James Robinson has grounds to transfer right now. Let's say Urban was still here and Urban wasn't going anywhere. If I'm James Robinson, I'm going in the transfer portal. I'm leaving. I'm out. You sabotage my sophomore season. I'm done. So I can't stick with those guys on stuff like that, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how this how the rest of this plays out, because the transfer portal, it's only guys are gonna just leave more and more now, man. Because now that you don't have to sit out that year, which they shouldn't, they're gonna find situations that are good for them. And now everybody's not going to do it, of course, but guys need to be able to do that and decide on their own, because coaches can do it. So you can't restrict the coaches, restrict the players, and then you don't restrict the coaches. No, we shouldn't be doing that. But let's see. Oh, we get into our last topic, then you gotta get up out of here. Brady and the Bucs. That was one of the ones I talked about, and which I wanted to talk about the Lakers, but the Lakers looking like trash right now. There's not really much to talk about. There are no trades coming because they don't have anything that's worth trading right now except for LeBron James. And they're not trading LeBron James. So, I mean, nobody's taking on Westbrook's contract. Anthony Davis' knee is made out of putty right now. It's not looking good for them. But Brady and the Bucs is another one that I talked about going into this year, because a lot of people ask me, Brandon, with your sports watcher, you think the Bucs are going to repeat? I said no. They're not going to repeat. I said, you know why? Injuries is why it's not going to repeat. Now, if they were completely healthy, they got a great shot. I mean, you got a really good team, got a championship team. But injuries, I said injuries, man. I've seen it so many times. Repeating in anything is hard. It doesn't matter the sport.
Yeah.
But then you add on Injuries, man. Going to playoffs in any sport, especially when you go to them for an extended period of time, it weighs on the body, man. And in football, all it takes is a year. And they've been dropping like flies in Tampa, man. They lost. Well, I watched the game the other night. They lost 9-0 to the Saints, and the Saints got Brady's number. It's just what it is. Brady can do nothing with the Saints. Sean Payton and them got that number because Taysom Hill was god awful, and that offense couldn't move the ball, and they beat them 9-0. I've never seen Brady get beat 9-0. I've never seen that happen before.
Well,
but
I'd say it even stronger. They got punked out there, man.
They did.
The Bucs got beat up front. The line got whipped physically. Brady got hit hard, fumbled. I know he lost one fumble. They just basically didn't show up, man. They didn't. I mean, it's hard losing your top receiver, but
you lost 3 top guys. You lost Fournette, you lost Godwin, and Mike Evans in I think the first quarter and a half or something like that. And I get that. That's hard. But injuries, man. Injuries is going to stop them from getting where they want to go. Because Fournette is probably done. Godwin, if I'm not mistaken, I think Godwin is done. He had an ACL or MCL tear.
He's out. He's out.
He's done. Yeah. Mike Evans, I'm not sure his status, but I know he's out for a period of time. So injuries, man. I knew that from the beginning. Injuries is something that they weren't going to be able to overcome.
But when you talk crap, man, those guys talk a lot of crap, man.
They do.
I mean, I can't think of what number 45, the middle linebacker, boy. He talked trash the whole game. And
what's that? Is that White?
White, yeah.
White, Devin White.
Crap the whole game. And, even before that game, they were saying that nobody gonna be able to run against us. I don't care who they are. They're not gonna run against the Bucs defense. And it's like, come on, man. And it's like, hey, if you can back up the talk, you can back up the talk.
You can back it up.
But you can't lose at home. I mean, first of all, you can't get shut out. That's number one. You can't lose at home in a shutout loss and lose a game 9-0. That's the same with the Jaguars. You can't be in this league and don't scope and then talk crap.
Yeah.
Even if you can win the division, if you know that, I mean, and I always say this, you always give yourself around who's your rival. For the Bucs, the Saints are their rival. I mean, they can't beat them. They didn't beat them when Jameis was there, and they ain't beating them with Tom Brady. And even when they won the Super Bowl, they lost both those games to the Saints. I mean, it's like you.
Yeah, they did. And then that's the other thing. If Brady and if Breeze had have been at least just 50% of who he used to be, they would have won that game. Because Drew Brees is the reason that Brady and them won in New Orleans in the playoffs. Because Brees' arms was gone. He couldn't throw over 20 yards. He was done. He was cooked. And
I'm just saying, man, like, hey, the Saints are not a good football team, man. I mean, I like their defensive, Cameron and that defensive front, Davenport. They got a great defensive front.
Yeah, Gillette, Davenport, and Cameron Jordan.
Yeah, Cameron Jordan. I stack those guys up against anybody. But when you look at the quarterback position, they have absolutely nothing. Obviously, they got, a great running back. But the receivers are mediocre. The defensive, their defense is good. I don't think they got the playmakers on offense. But there's no way in the world that the talent, even before the injuries, after the injuries, the talent that this Tampa Bay team got should not ever lose 9-0 to anybody. And they just basically got punked. The Saints say, look, we can physically outmatch them.
Yep.
We can do what we want to do up front against them, frustrate them, take away things that they like to do. And that's exactly what they did with basically a backup quarterback. Yep. And that's the formula that this is why teams don't repeat, because all the teams in the league in the NFC see basically the Saints put out the formula. That's the formula how you beat Brady. You got to get middle inside pressure on him. You got to flush him out the pocket. You got to force him to do things that he doesn't want to do, and you got to definitely cover those receivers. And
Yeah,
that's the formula.
Yeah, the way the Saints look, they look like the Giants in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. That's what they look like. I mean, that defensive line, that's the formula to stop any quarterback. I don't care who the quarterback is. The formula is to get pressure up the middle. Getting pressure up the middle stops just about everything. Because if a quarterback can't step up to throw, I don't care how great his arm is. I don't care if he could throw off his back foot, throw off any platform. It doesn't matter. If you get him off his spot, more often than not, the ball is going to look ugly and it's going to wobble, just like Brady. He could not step into those throws. He was under duress. Guys couldn't get open. They was being stuck to like glue. And Junior Gillette and Cameron Jordan had a whale of a game. Davenport was killing them. It was a moment in the game, and it's a meme now where Brady was looking at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and Gardner-Johnson just looking at him like, "Yeah, we got your number, bro. It's nothing you can do. You belong to us." And he couldn't do nothing but smile.
Yeah, that's the truth. He's winless against them since he's been in Tampa.
Yeah, that's 0-4 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
0-4.
It is what it is, man. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I have a lot of Bucs, not Bucs fans, they're Brady fans, but now they follow the Bucs because they're Brady fans, and they're like, "Oh, well, you said this about Brady. You say he's lost a step, he's lost this, and he's lost that. He's not. Of course, he's not what 30-year-old Brady was. He's 43, 44. Come on now. Of course, he doesn't have what he used to have, but he's still good enough to win. But he's not good enough to overcome the injuries that they're going to have this year, and that was going to be the issue. And now he's contemplating retirement. So now that he's contemplating retirement, it's over now. Anytime you talk about retirement, you retire.
Don't be shocked if those guys lose in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, the second round. I'm assuming they'll get a bye if they win the division.
Yeah.
Don't be shocked if they lose and it's one and done with that team. And I like the Bucs, but it's just I don't know. Yeah. It's just some things. It's gonna be a much tougher road for them to repeat, obviously. But I don't see them advancing far in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Rams look they about to get Cam Akers back. The Packers are still the Packers. I thought the 49ers were looking good. I mean, last night Tennessee pulled the rabbit out of the hat because they couldn't cover AJ Brown in the second half. That was their downfall. I think he had a drive where he caught like 5 straight passes for like 50 yards and a touchdown, something crazy like that. So they couldn't do anything about it. But the NFC is not going to be a cakewalk. Just like AFC is going to be tough too. I mean, I've seen where it's only like a half game separates like 8 teams.
Yeah.
So the Bucs, nobody can afford that. Nobody has any breathing room right now, no matter what conference you're in. If you're trying to get into the playoffs, nobody has any breathing room right now. Yeah. So
San Francisco got to get better quarterback play, man. Garoppolo,
Garoppolo is they say either Garoppolo he plays like Montana or he played like Jim Drunken Miller, and it says it's no in between. There's no in between. It's either that or that.
I just hate a guy who you got a game in your hand and he just throw an interception. Just can't avoid mistakes.
Yeah,
that's the Blake Bortles way of playing quarterback, man. Just making a mistake when you don't. Of all the things
throwing the ball up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fumbles or throw an interception. There's a drive killer.
Yep. Yes, it is. Let's see. Okay. It's 5:18. So we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Make sure y'all follow Mr. Reid on Twitter, Jacksonville.com, Florida Times-Union. We'll have more. We got more topics next week. We're going to talk a little more Jags next week. We didn't talk much Jags this week because, the Jags are not worth talking about right now.
Yeah. Let's say that again. It ain't much to talk about.
It's not much to talk about them right now.
And they done fired the coach, and they got 3 players out, so don't expect them to win Sunday. So
yeah. So they look forward to having the number 1 pick again, because I really don't. The only win I see them maybe getting is the Colts at the end of the year, and that's only because the Colts don't win in Jacksonville. That's the only reason. If the Colts hadn't won since 2014, I would pick the Colts to win, and they wouldn't win another game. But it's a possibility that they can win that game. They blew them out. Well, that was 2 years ago. They blew them out when they came here in the last game of the year, and they were good, and we were terrible. So I mean, it is what it is. But make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Well, we'll be back next week. I got a couple shows I got lined up for next week, man. So make sure y'all stay tuned in. I'll be back with Mr. Reid next week as well. But until next time, I will talk to y'all later, man. We are out of here. Peace out, y'all.